Today, I wanted to do a redraft, and the reason why I'm doing this is just because I got inspired by this complex article, and I wanted to go through it and just pretty much see if I agreed or if I didn't agree with it. And basically, I want to hear your opinions right now. What picks do you guys agree with, and what did you guys think? What players should have been redrafted, who were reaches. So let's just go right into this. And the first one, they said LaMelo Ball would go to the Timberwolves. I say that's wrong. Anthony Edwards would still be drafted by the Timberwolves. And it's because I think Anthony Edwards is a perfect fit into what they're doing with Chris Finch now that they're over there and they're really just going with this lineup that they've had. Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards being the offensive specialist, Ricky Rubio being the playmaker, Jaden McDaniels being the Swiss Army knife, and Naz Reid being their center. And then they have right now D'Angelo Russell coming off the bench. Eventually, it's going to be D'Angelo Russell starting and Ricky Rubio and Malik Beasley off the bench. And that's just so much scoring they have. And I just don't think this. I mean, they could make it work with LaMelo. I just don't think LaMelo would go even with the outcomes of the thing of how the season has turned out. The Warriors. Now, I think they still go James Wiseman because LaMelo Ball is still on the board, and so is James Wiseman. And I think they didn't need LaMelo Ball, and they're still going to go with James Wiseman. And the Hornets, see, I'm going against complex on this because I think Tyrese Halliburton might fall to the Cavaliers at this point. But I think the draft stays the same with the top three picks because it's worked out phenomenally for all three teams. Yeah, LaMelo got hurt and he's about to come back, but I don't think the Hornets would want to change that. The Warriors, they still have the option to get Wiseman here. Anthony Edwards isn't there. Yeah, obviously if Edwards was there, they would take him. But LaMelo Ball is not getting drafted by the Timberwolves. The only other person I could see now with the redraft is James Wiseman because of what they're doing with Naz Reid next to Karl Anthony Towns. Now, Patrick Williams has been great. Pat Williams really could be the next Paul George, Kawhi Leonard type player who comes into the NBA as a guy who in college didn't put up gouging numbers, anything that shocked you, but came in and was a really good defensive player, and that we knew day one he was going to be a good defensive player. But if their offense can catch up to their defense, they become what Paul George and Kawhi Leonard became. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George were defensive first players and then eventually became amazing offensive players. I think same thing with Jimmy Butler and a bunch of other players. And I think Patrick Williams right here could do that. So I don't think they would change that. And the Cavs, I think, you take Sadiq Bey, who's been really... One second, I got a hair in my mouth. Ooh, got a hair in my mouth. That was gross. Yeah, I think Sadiq Bey's really been good. He was, in my opinion, one of the most versatile defenders coming into this draft. He was a guy that I really thought he could guard shooting guards, small forwards, power forwards, and even some small ball fives if they were small enough. And Isaac Curl, he was the best defender, but I think Sadiq Bey was the best defender with offensive skills, with some offensive skills that will transition immediately. Isaac Curl was the best defensive player who, if he really started going on the offensive side, he would be really good because he was already so good. They were trying. Isaac Curl really has a chance of being the next Andre Iguodala in the sense of being amazing at defense and being this dunking with the occasional 3-point shot. But Sadiq Bey definitely, I think, would have been the better pick for them right there, and I agree with that. The Hawks, I think they take Tyrese Halliburton. Imagine the Hawks if they had a backup point guard right now, a guy who could be a secondary playmaker for Trae Young. And I think that in my mock draft, first mock draft, I had Onyeka Okongwu being drafted there, which happened. But my rest, I made like 5 or 6 mock drafts, and in all my other mock drafts, I said Tyrese Halliburton was going to the Hawks because he could have been their 6th man. He could have done what they wanted Chris Dunn and Rajon Rondo and what kind of Lou Will's doing right now. But Tyrese Halliburton would have been perfect, and I think he would have gone on the Hawks, would have been a perfect fit for them right there. Then at 7, I think Isaiah Stewart might have been a reach right there because I think they go Emmanuel Quickley because you see Emmanuel Quickley would be going next, and I think honestly, you go Emmanuel Quickley over Killian Hayes. I was never a big fan of Killian Hayes to begin with. I thought Killian Hayes had a higher floor but a lower ceiling than Theo Maledon. I thought Killian Hayes was a very safe pick. I thought Killian Hayes was just going to be a similar, I'm not saying a same play style or similar style or anything, just a similar career to DJ Augustin. I think they were just going to be where a guy could be a starter, nothing special, really good backup, nothing insane. But yeah, Isaiah Stewart's great. Think he could sneak into the lottery better than Jalen Smith. Now the Knicks right here, I think because you don't have Emmanuel quickly on the board and they took Obi Toppin, I really, when I look back at this, I'm trying to think of somebody. You could say they could go Cole Anthony there, or they could go for a wing, which would be Denny Avita. And I'm putting myself in Cole Anthony because they need a point guard, and they needed a point guard. And Cole Anthony has been a good surprise. Cole Anthony from Brooklyn. Everybody in New York would have loved that. And I think that would have just been a really good pick. I think Denny stays, even though Scott Brooks is using him terribly for a guy who came into the NBA, that I think he was a combination of Hedo Turkoglu and Lamar Odom. And I don't think he's being properly utilized, but he's still playing really good from the bench. And he's a guy that I believe will come in and will be a guy who can average 17 points a night, 7 rebounds a game, and 5 assists. I really think he could do that. The Suns, I think they would take Desmond Bane, or maybe they take Isaiah Stewart here. I think they take Isaiah Stewart. The Suns would take Isaiah Stewart right here, and he's just been amazing. He's this 6'10" guy who can sometimes shoot 3-pointers, great rebounder, great defender. The Spurs keep Devin Vassell. I don't know why Complex is saying Desmond Bane. Devin Vassell's been great. Devin Vassell's going to be a great 3-and-D guy. The reason why he hasn't been playing much is because they are not a team that plays rookies. I'm sorry, that's the team that does it. Now, Kenyon Martin, I could see this. Kenyon Martin Jr., this is the one that I agree with, okay? Kenyon Martin Jr., go right here, unless if we see somebody such as, I think over here, Kenyon Martin Jr. is fine on the Kings. They would have really liked him. He would have been this guy who could come in and be their small forward for there. And I think he's going to be a versatile defender who eventually, if his three-point good shot could catch up, he could be a really fun guy to watch on transition. The Pelicans took Kira Lewis Jr., and I think that works out. He's one of the fastest players in the NBA. And you could argue Kellyan Hayes here, but I think maybe. But Kellyan Hayes, I feel like, would have been put him in a situation that, not that he's similar to Lonzo Ball, I don't know, he's too neutral. Maybe you could take Kellyan Hayes here, but I think Kira Lewis Jr. was still a great pick. The Celtics, I honestly thought they were going to take Precious Achiuwa. They took Aaron Nesmith, and Aaron Nesmith provided the outside shooting that they wanted, but he hasn't shown it. And Precious Achiuwa has been very versatile with his size and athleticism for the Heat, and he would be perfect behind Robert Williams, spending center time with Robert Williams. The Magic took Cole Anthony, but Cole Anthony wouldn't be here. So I put Kellyan Hayes over Xavier Tillman. You don't need Xavier Tillman. Take Kellyan Hayes. He's perfect for the 15th pick. I think that's not even a reach. That's the perfect spot. Isaac Curro for the Blazers. That's actually a really good gig for him. Works out perfect. Doesn't need to worry. And they get a defender where they already have offense. Now, I think right here, Xavier Tillman would be perfect for the Timberwolves. And this is actually a trade that got sent to the Oklahoma City Thunder. So, technically speaking, I want to say this pick, let's say this is still a Thunder's pick. It's still going to be Alexei Pekovetsky. And the Mavericks over here, I don't know, they would take Kellyan Hayes. They need Jalen Bronson's good. I don't think they would take Kellyan Hayes. And Devin Vassell isn't there. Would you take Desmond Bane? No, you wouldn't take Desmond Bane. You would take Desmond Bane because Desmond Bane's still on the board. Mavericks take Desmond Bane over Josh Green. And the Nets, this ended up being, Sadiq Bey, the Pistons pick. So the Pistons would take Xavier Tillman because Isaiah Stewart's gone. The Heat, Malachi Flynn hasn't been great, but Malachi Flynn could be... Yeah, Malachi Flynn's a good pick here because Precious Achiuwa's off the board. The 76ers right here, because Tyrese Maxey's still on the board. I'd give him Tyrese Maxey. Because we said the Nets would take... Or did we skip that? No, yeah, the Nets would take... Would they take Tyrese Maxey? Or, no, this is originally the Pistons pick, and we said they would take Xavier Tillman. So, yeah, Tyrese Maxey would go to the Sixers still. Then Theo Maledon to the Nuggets now that they got... I think Zeke Nnaji in his minutes hasn't been bad, but Theo Maledon... the Nuggets need a backup point guard. R.J. Hampton isn't there now, so you could say Theo Maledon works great. The Knicks' Jordan Nwora has been great, and this ended up actually being the Timberwolves pick, and I think still would be great. Even though I am a Leandro Balmaro fan, it's just how it is. The Bucks took I did the Nuggets pick, so I think the Nuggets actually would take Peyton Pritchard over R.J. Hampton. And if we wrap it up, the Thunder, like I think Obi Toppin does fall down. Nico Mannion gets drafted earlier. I don't know. I think Udoka Azubuike's been good. He hasn't really played, but he was a good pick. Saban Lee's been nice. I think Onyeka Okongwu and Obi Toppin, maybe they could be picked up here by the Mavericks or, we said, what was it, the Timberwolves? I mean, the Thunder would take Obi Toppin right here, honestly, if we go with the redraft. And Onyeka Okongwu would probably go later in the 20s. But that's it from me, guys. I want to hear your opinions down below. But peace out.